What in the heck are NFTs, and the very first country music artist to get in on this latest fan-oriented trend? Today on the Music Universe podcast.
Are you familiar with NFTs yet, Matt?
Actually, after today, yes. We had Goody Mob, the folks from Goody Mob, and their NFT company on late last year. Now today, with Parker McCollum and the team that around his NFT, we had Cameron Schell, co-head of MusicFX, and Billy Joe Asen, also the co-head of MusicFX and the co-CEO of Crown and Ace, on with us to talk about the very first country music NFT, and that's Parker's, like I said at the top there. It opened up a world of understanding for me and a world of possibility, and MusicFX is doing what I think should be done as NFTs become more mainstream, and that's taking some of the question out of it. You know, you'll hear them talk about in the interview having to buy Bitcoin and what the heck's a blockchain and how can they make that interface user-friendly for people who don't want to mess with Bitcoin. And I got to tell you, buddy, I don't know if it is for you, but I get asked about every single day, at least 3 times a week. You have Bitcoin yet? You have Bitcoin yet? No, I don't. I play the stock market before I get Bitcoin, but you have Bitcoin.
I've dabbled in a little bit of the urethra or whatever it's called, Eurethium. That's what it's called. I dabbled in that.
Folks,
let's.
We're not going to edit this out, but it's very clear that Buddy must need to use the restroom.
No,
because he said urethra. But
Eurethium. I have a little bit of that, but I have not gotten into the NFTs yet. And there's so many out there and even more coming. In the interview, you'll hear us talk about 10,000 fan club editions for Parker. And I had asked a question about being 1,000. Well, there was 1,000 special signature gold editions to clarify that. So those sold out within 3 days. Yeah. And the 10,000 are still available, or some of the 10,000, I should say, are still available. And very neat, very cool, very in-depth conversation. And, Parker tells us what he feels as the first country artist to dabble in it. And then, the other two also tell us about how they created it and what that means for the future of live entertainment, because I don't care. We are used to streaming shows now, but being there, we know what it's like. We've got a bunch on our plate that we've just wrapped, and we've got even more coming this year. Live entertainment is what it's about, and to mix a combination of the two, you can't get any better than that, honestly.
No siree. And before we toss to this interview, I don't want to save this to the end. The date we are recording this, now you're going to see this about 2 weeks later, but the date we are recording this, and I'm going to put a tweet up as soon as we're done here, but the date we are recording this is January 24th. And 9 years ago, you old man, you started this website, and look how far you've come. Look how much it's grown. Congratulations on 9 years.
Oh, thank you.
With you for the last
almost 6. So congrats on sticking with my craziness, and you've made me even crazier with all the running we do.
Now here's Cameron, here's Billy Joe, and here's Parker McCollum. Thank you very much. We are here with an awesome team here. We've got Cameron Schell, co-head of MusicFX, and we've got Billy Joe Asen, co-head of MusicFX as well as co-CEO of Crown and Ace. Both companies are involved in this wonderful NFT project with Parker McCollum, the wonderful, awesome, brand new superstar of country music. Everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is going to be a fun conversation. To kick this off, something that was just happening right where we chopped off the edit at the beginning. You all are just meeting for the first time, even though this project has been a smashing success. What's it like to sort of meet Parker face to face for the first time, and Parker to meet the team that are doing this unique project?
Well, certainly for me, it's a thrill, and but I think it's it's a sign of the digital age and the type of collaboration that can happen when you get the right people that come together. So, I'm not sure every project can work this well when people actually haven't met face to face, but given the pandemic we're in and the digital age that we're in, which is completely NFTs and how you can connect with people and not have to necessarily be face to face. But if it wasn't for Parker and the amazing organization he had, it wouldn't have worked as well as it's been working.
Parker?
Man, it's you know, to your point, Cameron, it is a bit odd, but probably something that will become a lot more of the norm, or maybe already has, as far as, you know, working and collaborating with people that you haven't met in person. Certainly provides a different set of difficulty to doing anything. But man, I don't know about on y'all's end. On my end, it has been smooth as butter, rolling this thing out, and I know we were kind of pressed for time as far as prepping everything and getting content and kind of figuring out how we wanted to roll this thing out. But it seems like it's been, you know, at least on my end, I hope on y'all's end as well. You know, it's been just as smooth as it seems for us. But you know, I think it was like 2 months ago, maybe a little longer than that, 2.5 months ago. A buddy of mine, Jeff Bean, I grew up with, called me on the phone. I was in line at Chick-fil-A drive-through, and he was like, "Hey, you need to do NFTs." And I'm like, "I don't know what that is. I've never even heard of an NFT." And so he sends me this long packet. It's like 15 pages long document via text message. I go through the whole thing. I read it word for word. Started to read it a second time, and I'm like, I'm wasting my time. This is not processing. I have no idea what an NFT is. I call him back. I'm like, dude, you're out of your. I was like, I don't even know what you're doing. You're weird. And so, and then like 2 weeks later, my buddy Chase is in my manager's office when I get there, and he's like, "Hey, man, we want to talk to you about possible starting an NFT for kind of a fan club kind of thing." And fan club was the word that really triggered something in my mind to kind of pay attention and give this thing a chance. So I went home and I really did some research. I read that packet again, still didn't understand it. Started Googling all kinds of stuff. I'm like, I'm not dumb. I was like, I know I can figure out what an NFT is. And so, and I will say, you know, most of the time I'm pretty open-minded and you know, always try to give everything a fair chance. I kind of shut down the idea of an NFT after reading that packet. I was like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever read in my life. Once I really dug in and did some research and saw how, you know, rolling this out as a fan club would work, it was an opportunity for my fans to kind of have this exclusive access. You know, my real day one, number one fans who have been with me for so long, they deserve something like this. That was really the kind of piece of this whole equation that captured my attention and made me go, okay, this is worth, you know, putting some attention towards. So it's been pretty smooth at this point. I think it sold out pretty quick, and I don't know a whole lot, but in the music business, sold out's the best you can do. You can't do any better than that.
Yeah,
I love it. Billy, Billy Joe, I want to ask a question about NFTs specifically. There's been sort of a meme, especially on TikTok, Instagram, circulating that, oh, they're once in a lifetime pieces of art. You own one, and there's one, and then, you know, they hold their phone up and they take the screenshot and go, here. What prevents a screenshot from being as valuable as the NFT? What goes on in that process in the back end that it's more than just the pixels on your phone?
So a couple of different things here. People are approaching NFTs in multiple different ways. And to be honest with you, I felt the same confusion that Parker felt when Cam called me and said, we need to open an NFT company. I'm like, dude, I'm in the music business. I don't understand this. I read it like 10 times. My husband pulled up these YouTube videos and I was like, huh. So now I have to go through and I have to create a wallet and I have to buy, you know, crypto, and I didn't get it. Same sort of thing. And that was what, you know, kind of prompted how we are rolling out and how we are working MusicFX. And the great thing is, because I didn't know anything about NFTs, and Cam is really the genius in the NFT space, I just know the music space, it allowed us to have really hard conversations, you know, of that direct thing, like how Parker said, just totally shut down. I don't understand it. I read the packet. It's too much. To saying, how do we take this, instead of being a piece of art on a phone that you can show someone and say, oh, yay, I own this album art? Because to me, I felt that doesn't do any justice for the fan, for the artist. I didn't feel that specifically in country music people would understand it. So we got to really dive in and ask all these hard questions to create a platform that was a lot more approachable and an experience that was more than just a piece of art on the phone. So there are really three barriers that we looked at. One was what the hell is an NFT? Nobody knew, nobody could understand it. What is this? Why is this so special to me? So how do we educate people on what an NFT is and why it's so important, and understanding that one of one, or in Parker's case, one of 10,000 only will ever be sold. Number two was crypto. What do? I don't understand crypto. I don't know how to purchase it. So how do we take that barrier of entry away? And how do we make it really approachable for your average fan? And Cam and his team came up with the option with MusicFX, where you simply just go on and put on your credit card. You don't have to buy crypto. You don't have to do any of it. And our system automatically creates you a wallet. And then number three, how do we avoid the question like you just asked, Matt, of, well, what is this? I have it on my phone. I can screenshot it and send it to anyone. And so that's when we coined the term social currency. What we wanted to do was create a better experience for the fans. As Parker knows, when you're starting as an artist, you're playing every fair, rodeo, broken down club. You work really, really, really hard for those fans. And those fans are your number one critic. So you owe it to them to give them something that's special. And so in Parker's example right now, Parker's blowing up. He's went from here to here to here, and in Texas has such a massive following, and that following starting to trickle all throughout North America and so on and so forth. So it was important to us to do a limited run of something, which was 10,000 in the fan club. Now, let's think 10 years down the road, Parker McCollum is next Garth Brooks. Well, now I own an NFT and I have this access to Parker that nobody else can get. Only I have it, because he will never sell any more of them. And so within that NFT, it's exclusive content, it's exclusive drops, it's exclusive assets. But the other piece that we wanted to do was create the social currency. So there were 22 golden tickets in it. So now we're creating experiences that money can't buy. You can't go on to Ticketmaster and say, I want to go to the ACMs with Parker McCollum. That doesn't work. But those golden tickets are within the NFTs. So it gives that fan an opportunity to now have a once in a lifetime experience and access to Parker. So that's what we're trying to change with MusicFX. This isn't just a digital piece of art. This isn't just one ticket to one thing. This is an entire exclusive experience that no one can get again.
Yeah, and Parker, I believe you're the first country artist to offer NFTs. How does that make you feel? And being that it's a 12-month membership, how are fans going to be able to extend that should you guys allow that?
I don't even know if it had talks about extending it. We're just kind of hoping that the first round goes well, which I think it's going super well and kind of exceeding expectations right now. But man, it's as far as this like exclusive, you can't get it anywhere else. Kind of like Billy Joe was saying, right? There's only X number. You can only get it by chance. But the biggest thing for me is that the entry fee was $100, I think. Right? Is that correct? $100.
Yes. In
2022, $100 is not near as much money as it was, when I was a kid, or 10 years ago. I feel like $100 is like, a $10 bill now for a lot of things you buy. Everything seems so expensive. And so to be able to access this for, and that was a big thing for me on this. I was like, my fans are already paying money to come see me play, they're paying money to listen to my music online. They're buying merch at the show. I don't sell meet and greets. I've never sold meet and greets. I always do those for free. They're already spending so much money,
yes,
to come support my career and because they love what we do. That was like a huge emphasis that I put in the very early stages of getting this thing going. I was like, I don't want these people to have to fork out $1,000 or $500, to be a part of this. I was like, $100 seems extremely fair. I hope that's a good number. And so anything beyond the 12-month membership, I don't think we would ever raise the price or anything, but I feel like that's a good start, and kind of a good middle ground for, the average fan, the average consumer to be able to get in and be part of it. And so my only hope is that, it started so well. I know being the first country artist to do it, looks really well in a headline or on paper, but you have to do it really well for it to actually be impressive and probably encourage other people to kind of get on the train. Is it has to be successful, it has to be executed correctly, which I think up until right now, it's or so far, it's been pretty flawless. So I don't know. It's I'll be extremely interested to see what this looks like in 12 months, 24 months down the road.
Right. Now, Cameron, where are NFTs going? I mean, you never heard of NFTs forever, and then all of a sudden, the biggest, hottest thing in entertainment right now for like Billy Joe was saying, owning that piece of that artist with that exclusivity to it. Where do you see NFTs being 5, 10, 15 years down the line?
Well, I'm not even so sure that the name NFT is going to, survive, right? Because it's an acronym for a technical term. But the reality is what an NFT is it's unique digital content. And so for the first time in history, we have content that's digital, that's unique. One of the great things about the internet was that it was able to, completely explode access to digital content like music. One of the terrible things about the internet is it basically, completely disintermediated the price structure and really took away the artist, the creator's capability to earn money for that IP. So we're seeing them having to do so many other things other than just create in order to be able to sustain the love of what they do. But now that we have digital content that can't be copied, that can be traced, that can have what they call provenance, who owned it before. These now are things where you can collect or you can own things which will give you the ability to have a unique experience. It will allow you to have unique music content that isn't maybe necessarily on an album, but it can't be ripped off. Somebody can take a picture at a concert and it's a great picture, but there might have been one of those incredible moments at Parker's concert that everybody remembers, right? And his team puts that together in an audio and a video file and makes it available, to people so that they actually share and own that moment. And there's only 3,000 or 4,000 copies of that available. That's the stuff for the first time that's unique and ownable. Now, NFTs themselves, my prediction, they are going to be your concert tickets. They are going to be your music albums. They're going to be your wallet. Because they are that piece of crypto. And I know that's a word a lot of people don't understand, but they're that piece of content or that code on the blockchain that allows things not to be copied and for you to own it. And in many respects, that's owning a piece of Parker and every artist that comes behind him that goes down this path. So NFTs are the future of content distribution and a huge, huge part of the music industry, in my opinion.
Yeah. And if I can jump in and just piggyback on what Cam said, I feel what NFTs are going to do to the music, what streaming kind of did to radio, right? But think about way back in the day, I would go and buy an album from Walmart for $20 and I would own that album. And then my girlfriend really wanted it and I'd sell it to her for $10. Well, Parker only sees a piece of what the label gets from that $20 sale of that album. He'll never see what that was sold for $10 and $5 and $2. That's the difference with the NFT. Every single time this is sold, it's what we call mailbox money at the end of the day. You're still always making money for that IP, for the hard work in the room, writing the song and the recording and everything else. The other thing, how Cam just brought up NFTs being tickets, we run into so many issues now in the music business on different revenue streams and how to not be ripped off on it. And one big piece of this is the ticketing industry. So if we go on sale with a festival or with a concert, you have P1 being your, row 1 to 10, P2 being 11 through 20, so on and so forth. We tier the pricing specifically. And that pricing goes out, and P1 may be a $500 ticket, and P2 may be a $300 ticket, and so on and so forth. Well, what's happening is bots go in and they buy up all these P1 and these P2 tickets, and they can buy a max of 10 or 20, depending on how they're pinging their IPs. And then they go and they sell them on StubHub. So we saw this with a Billie Eilish concert where her P1 ticket, I think, was $250. By the time her show played, which we had to move it from a 500 cap to a 10,000 cap. But by the time her show played, those P1 tickets were selling for almost $3,000. She wasn't seeing a dime of it. The promoter wasn't seeing a dime of it. The manager wasn't seeing a dime of it. NFTs can change and solve that entire solution if done correctly. They can be the solution to that problem. It saves the fan too. I mean, no fan wants to go in and have to spend $3,000 to see Parker. Like Parker said, he knows that they work really hard for their money. So if he chose a P1 ticket for $500, it was $500 for a reason. So NFTs are going to revolutionize a lot of different aspects of the industry. It's really all about pioneering that change and educating the fan in what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, because we're seeing that right now with the Adele Vegas residency tickets that
Read my
were
mind.
somewhere up of like 35,000 a piece, which is just out of reach. And I know Ticketmaster is also offering NFTs for a lot of their shows starting this year, I believe. So I think that helps too with keeping all that in. But then you got people like Matt and I that will go up to the box office and we'll pay $20 to get our tickets physically printed right there. So I think NFTs, from what I'm gathering too, do have some physical aspects in some offerings.
With the Parker fan club, it's a mix, right? Because we have the 22 golden tickets. So one of the golden tickets is that you could be off to the ACM's Academy of Country Music Awards with Parker. That's a once in a lifetime experience that money can't buy. You can't go on and you can't buy it. So we've brought together the digital aspect with that actual fan experience, which I think is so important in music. You have to have the physical touch with the fans. It's the same as streaming a concert versus going to a live concert. I will always say that nothing will ever replace a live show. Nothing will ever replace that experience. So you want to be able to do both.
Go ahead, Cameron.
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm a bit of a nerd, and I love digital. I love everything it can do for the world. But that energy, it doesn't come through in bits and bytes. You got to feel that when you're there. So I couldn't agree more. And I think NFTs can be a big part of allowing more people to feel that energy. So it's a digital solution that solves a physical problem.
Yeah, and Matt and I have a bunch of shows that we've got coming up, most of them out of town. And so far, they've not been offered any NFTs, and they are mostly country shows. So do you think, as Parker, as you were saying, and I know you're with Universal Music, and it's the biggest, music conglomerate in the world, do you think that it will be maybe by the end of the year, and this is to all three of you, that this could catch on in the country music industry and they'll start offering more NFTs in various fan clubs and different iterations of it?
I don't know. That's kind of why I was earlier when you asked about being the first country artist to do it. I'm like, depending on how this goes for us, could be kind of the decision maker for a lot of people on whether they want to even dip their toes in something like this. And so I think us executing and having success with it, right? It's the world's a copycat world. If anything succeeds, right, a bunch of other people are going to do it. If it fails miserably, then it's probably going to turn some people off, but some people will probably still attempt it. So it's kind of hard. I'll be interested to see how popular it becomes, and it's just in a specific genre of country music. But and going back to what y'all said about the NFTs and digital shows and stuff like that, some people have been asking me a lot lately. They're like, "Would you offer your show?" Basically, like, I got an Oculus for Christmas, which I play the golf game on there like every day. It's so dope. And people were mentioning you'd be able to watch concerts there. You would buy a ticket and you'd put on your VR headset and you would. And I'm like, I don't know. That's something I don't think I would ever participate in. I think I love being on stage and performing and putting butts in seats, and packing out rooms and arenas, and you just can't do that virtually. So this NFT kind of allows people to have that digital part of it, and then they can use it to help them increase or elevate that experience at the actual physical live show.
Since we launched Parker, we've had a lot of phone calls. I mean, a lot of phone calls, which is great. But our number one thing is we have to create a product that is right for that artist and their fans. You can't always just cookie cutter everything. And the unique thing about MusicFX in the NFT space is we're a music company who happen to have a tech partner that can go in and help guide those artists and guide those brands, because we understand the inner workings of an artist's career versus being a tech company trying to get into music. There's a language barrier, and it's to nobody's fault, but there is a language barrier, and there's a way that we've we've operated in music traditionally through, PR and relationships, and there's a system that works. And so what we're doing at MusicFX is trying to take this technology now into the system that we already know and not replace it, but enhance that experience for the fan.
So far, for the success of it, I mean, it sold out within 3 days, right? And I see it says 1,000 lucky fans, but Billy Joe, you mentioned earlier 10,000. Is that correct?
So we separated it. We did 1,000 of the signature series and then released the next phase of it. So we were doing the release in phases.
And all 10,000 of it sold out within 3 days, correct?
Just the first 1,000.
Just the first 1,000. Okay. All right. We'll just for clarification in that. All right, guys. Anything, Matt? You have anything? You guys have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to say good luck to everybody on this. It's the new wave. Cameron, I'll ask this one question. This is just my pure curiosity. You said you don't think the name NFTs will last. What, in your mind, should these products be called as it heads towards mainstream commercialization?
Yeah, I think the products will end up being called what they are. They'll be called a ticket. The back-end infrastructure will end up being an NFT because it can't be copied and duplicated, and it solves a bunch of these problems. I think a unique song that comes out by Parker that you can't get by any other means other than through his club and as an NFT will just be called unique drop or a unique song. The underlying tech will be an NFT, but it will just become ubiquitous. Your online wallets, whether they're it doesn't matter if it's Visa, MasterCard, crypto, whatever it is, you just want it to work. And so it's just a wallet. It's not necessarily an ABC XYZ-7 wallet. It's a wallet. Sure. And so I think that's where the ubiquity of the whole thing is moving towards. And it will, again, in my opinion, propel, the digital arts or the arts, the creative world, to new levels, because finally the creative world is going to be able to create unique content that can't be ripped.
I love it. Well, everybody, this was a pleasure. Of course, we got Billy Joe, we got Cameron, we got Parker. Thank you very, very much. We really appreciate your time. That was an incredibly eye-opening interview. I got to say, we were a little skeptical. Whenever we get pitches that are about products, we always want to make sure the artist is involved, because otherwise it's just about the product and we become salesmen. And as interesting as this was, and as much as Cameron and Billy Joe had to say, it was great that Parker was there, but we were like, okay, they're coming on to talk about this thing. Learned so much, and now I'm kind of really excited about NFTs.
Yeah, I can totally see this expanding. I mean, the hip hop world has really embraced it. Some rock stars now are starting to do it. And then Parker being the first country artist, it's really groundbreaking. And we didn't necessarily use that term during the interview, but it being as groundbreaking as it is, especially in the country music industry, because Nashville isn't always the first one to embrace technology, especially when it comes to things like that. Now you get your tickets digitally, and usually that has something to do with obviously Ticketmaster or third party. But the fact is that Nashville's really starting to sound like they're embracing this NFT, and it will be, we'll see how the Parker thing goes, but I would say it's pretty successful. You heard him mention that, we'll see how successful it is. I mean, to sell out within, 1,000 of these things within 3 days is pretty successful in my eyes. And, then they've got these other things that they're including with it. It's a 12-month membership. They're going to get signed and numbered digital membership, which is something I didn't get to ask about how that works, because when you sign something, I mean, that's usually physical. And then VIP access to future events. But then they also include the physical aspect of the golden tickets, much like Willy Wonka. Hey, you want a trip to the ACMs, things like that. Very unique, very neat how they're doing this. And I think this does shape the way for new fan club memberships.
All right. That's it for the Music Universe podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Buddy. Thanks for hitting that like, subscribe, and share button. Be sure to check us out at themusicuniverse.com and tmupod.com. Until next time, take care.